Hi everybody, my name is Leila P.L. Valete and I am the Health Education Manager here at AI. And I am excited to bring you my day one debrief of ACR 2024 here at Washington, D.C. I am a patient living with lupus and Sjogren's disease, and I am excited to talk to you today about a few sessions that I went to. So my first session that I went to was called Genetic and Phenotypic Spectrum of SLE Across the Ages. And it's basically talking about new markers that they were finding in genetics and in other cells that are able to basically help researchers figure out what treatment types may be best for these different clusters of lupus patients. And so they were taking samples from mitochondrial DNA, different types of red blood cells, kidney biopsy cells, and even stool samples to be able to create these different clusters and explain what this mean in terms of how severe lupus may be, and even if comorbidities could possibly be developed in the future. Although it was a very high level, like genetics, and it was hard to understand, what I got from it was that the science in lupus is advancing so much that we're going to be able to possibly see what type of treatments can work for patients just based off of these different markers, these different biomarkers that we may have in our cells. And so that means less trial and error when it comes to treatments and medication. It means that you can see possibly if there's adverse reactions that people may have to treatments. And like I said before, they even mentioned the possibility of these clusters showing, for one of the more severe clusters, they were saying that they could be more likely to develop macrophage activation syndrome, which is a complication of lupus and also of Still's disease. And so that was really cool to me, that biomarkers are moving so fast into this direction that we may be getting a lot more information about these kinds of things. And so it just makes me really excited for the advancement of these things in the rheumatology space. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. And when I posted about it in our Go With Us Elevated experience, some of the patients did express how important they thought it was to look at the micro level and really see those different things inside the cells, because we can learn so much for them. Like DNA is so fascinating, and there's so much information that's stored and so many different things that can happen in the DNA. Yeah, it's really fun to learn about, and even more incredible to see how it may positively affect patients' lives in the future. All of these things that we may see at these conferences makes me really hopeful for how quality of life can be for patients in the future. Yeah, that is the first session that I went to. And the second session that I went to, let me actually get the full name of it so that I don't misspeak, but it was about ILD, which is interstitial lung disease. And interstitial lung disease is very common in scleroderma. It can also happen in Sjogren's disease, and we are also seeing that is becoming a lot more common in RA, or rheumatoid arthritis. And so those are the three of our diseases that it's common in. It's also common in other diseases that aren't AiArthritis diseases, like myositis. And so that is one of the other diseases that also may develop interstitial lung disease. The session that I went to about ILD was called Conversations in Autoimmune Associated Interstitial Lung Disease, the Patient Journey and the Physician Perspective. So there was a lung specialist or a pulmonologist, a rheumatologist, and a patient that were on the panel. And so they spoke about how important it is for pulmonologists and for rheumatologists to really be able to collaborate when it comes to patients with ILD, especially ILD that's associated with autoimmune disease, because of course, the rheumatologist will be helping to treat the autoimmune disease, and that also has to do with the lungs. And so they talked a lot about referring and how to make sure that rheumatologists are checking for the right things when it comes to ILD and asking the right questions, because a lot of rheumatologists right now may not be in the practice of listening to their RA patients' chests all the time. And ILD, one of the symptoms that's really kind of signature of ILD is crackling in the lungs. And that's one thing that's the first line of kind of indication of if ILD may be developing, is hearing those crackles. But also you may still develop ILD and not have crackles or not have crackles yet. So that is one of the main things that they look at, but there's a lot more testing that needs to be done in order to even get that referral to a pulmonologist. The rheumatologist should be knowing which diseases they need to be checking their patients for that may develop ILD, and just work it into their regular 3-month appointments that they may go to. And once you do have any indication that a patient may be developing ILD, such as getting very tired after exertion, shortness of breath, dry cough, those types of things, then they would recommend, one, getting a high resolution CT scan, also doing a pulmonary function test, and the 6-minute walk test. So those are the 3 tests that a rheumatologist can order in order to help the pulmonologist to see what may be going on, if there's a possible indication of ILD developing, and things like that. And yeah, I think that's the biggest 3 things that they talked about, was awareness for the rheumatologists on when to check in for ILD, the need for constant collaboration between these 2 specialties in order to make sure that the ILD and the underlying autoimmune disease is being properly treated for, and as well as sending these rheumatology patients over to pulmonology with the proper referral tests so that they can properly see the patient and get them a diagnosis or a treatment plan as soon as possible. And yeah, those were my 2 sessions for today. It was a very busy day of the first day of the booth and the first day of the conference. Getting to know the conference center, that's one of the biggest things that can be hard, because ACR is always at a different city. If you don't know the setup of the conference center, or you just have to get used to it and find the places that you need to go to, it can take a lot of time. But other than that, that is my debrief for day 1, and I'm excited to let you know what I learned the next few days. So thank you so much again for being here for our Go With Us program here at AiArthritis, and I'll talk to you later.